Chapter 1. I'm back. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I'm back. Hi guys. After a hard consideration, I've decided to rewrite this novel as it was such a mess, and I hope that this time, I could do better, and at some point, this novel will be contacted. Nevertheless, I hope that I can write a better version and you can expect a different protagonist and some major adjustments. It might sound insane or unbelievable, but Daniel Bell for some unknown reason has traveled back to the past unknowingly after dying in the future. I'm back. How in the world could this happen? Daniel's heart pounding in his chest, as he stared incredulously at the mirror in his dimly lit room. It was as if he had stepped into an alternate reality, his mind struggling to grasp the inexplicable change that had taken place. In the reflection, a healthy and vibrant 18-year-old boy stared back at him, his face a mix of confusion and disbelief. His fingers trembled as he reached out to touch the mirror, half expecting his hand to pass through some sort of illusion. But the cool, solid surface confirmed his existence. At the moment, his emotions were in chaos. There were regrets and confusion, but mostly, there was a deep hatred that could never be washed away. Nevertheless, he calmed himself before comprehending his situation. First of all, he has mysteriously traveled 20 years back into the past. But this wasn't a major problem because, in a week, an unknown entity would appear, and that would be the prologue of the catastrophic events. Although I don't know how in the world I've come to the past, Daniel murmured. The circumstances were confounding, but the opportunity before him was crystal clear. With this chance I'm given, I won't let it be wasted away in this time. His voice grew fierce. I would kill those divine bastards, he declared. His fingers curled into tight fists, nails digging into his palm as if to channel his hatred. As he stared into the mirror, his vision blurred. Droplets of tears streamed down his cheeks. He finally let out all the pain he'd been holding onto for a long time. All of his past mistakes and regrets seemed to reappear. But in this strange moment, he saw an opportunity to change the course of his life. To take back the future that had been stolen from him. Eventually, he wiped away his tears and felt a sense of caution. I need to tread carefully, he thought, his forehead wrinkling in deep thought. He understood that messing with history, even with good intentions, could have unintended consequences for the present time. The idea of the butterfly effect worried him. As he breathed out, he reinforced his plan. The only thing I have going for me is what I know, he said quietly. His most powerful tool was his knowledge of the future, stronger than anything else. He clenched his fist, showing his determination to use this advantage wisely. But as he thought more, a feeling of guilt struck his heart. It was the fragile connection between him and his mother. He felt heavy with unsaid words, lost chances, and deep regret. The image of her face, filled with love and pain, stayed with him like a ghost. Daniel had a tough life since he was little. He was abandoned and often didn't have enough food. Then, by a surprising twist of fate, his mother, who had left him, came back. He couldn't forgive her for leaving, no matter how much she tried to make amends. But everything changed when the apocalypse came. At some point in his life when he discovered the truth and realized how much she had done for him, it was too late for Daniel to accept her love. And it was one of his regrets, perhaps, the most hurtful one. If only I didn't indulge myself in my hatred and my ego, I wouldn't have that let happen, he gritted his teeth over his foolishness of hatred. And the apocalypse reminded him how much he hated those divine bastards. Once again, his hatred towards these beings could be seen in his eyes. Even when I hated her to the core, she still protected me and sacrificed her life for me. But I realized it all too late. But now, I won't let that foolishness overtake me. Now, with this opportunity, he decided to make things right and wouldn't repeat the same history. He would change his cowardice and his acceptance towards his mother, and most importantly, he would undo what he couldn't do. Knock, sweetie, Mom has cooked some food for you. Do you want to eat with me? There was a voice, nervous and mature, quivered from beyond the door while carrying a fragile hope. Usually, his silence was his answer, a sign of the distance between them. But something he had changed now. It pushed him to repair their broken relationship, to reach out for reconciliation. "Give me a moment, I'll be there soon," he said with a shaky voice, wanting to close and end his past grudges. Her body jolted in surprise as she didn't expect this outcome. "I'll go and prepare now." In excitement, she quickly dashed to the kitchen where she prepared all of the dishes and foods on the table. On the other hand, there were chefs, butlers and even maids aiding her. "All of you, quickly prepare the table for me and my son, and don't make any mistake," she warned, and in an instant, her voice was cold, and although she was smiling, they knew that if they made a mistake, perhaps, the outcome wouldn't be pleasant. Well, but who could blame her for being cautious, as there's never been a chance for her to spend time with her child. Hence, knowing that her son had agreed to eat with her, she feared mistakes, as she's afraid that would make her son retreat. What should I say? How do I open up a conversation with him? Should I ask him about his school or how he's doing? No, that isn't it. Maybe something he wants. She walked forth and back due to the pressure, and in the end, she quickly jumbled up everything and waited for his appearance at the kitchen table where all kinds of food were made. The food recipes were indeed made by her, but the ones who prepared them were the chefs in the kitchen. She had bought a mansion for her son and her to live in, and with such a massive house, she hired some maids or butlers to overlook the house. Minutes later, Daniel eventually came down and sat down in one of the chairs while impressed by the aromatic food and elegant utensils. "Now that I see it, I was truly foolish to miss out on such opportunities from such grand food," Daniel thought with sparkling eyes on the food. At the same time, he was a bit emotional and regretful for not enjoying moments like this in the past. Noticing his eyes, Daniel's mother, Layla Bell, smiled widely. She felt satisfied and proud witnessing her son smiling for the first time. "Well, sweetie, you can go help yourself and dig in, and don't hesitate to ask for more," she nervously urged him, who sat opposite in her direction. With that, half an hour passed since they began eating, while the maids and butlers stood patiently at the side waiting for them to finish. Since then, neither of them ever spoke a word or engaged in any conversation. It's not because they were ignoring it, but how awkward they were to both of them. While Layla is too nervous and afraid of any slight errors in her words, Daniel, despite having accepted her love in his heart, couldn't find the words to start a conversation. Thus, their words were stuck in their throat. "Well, it's now or never." With such a decision, he took a deep breath before letting out his thoughts and the truth of his feelings. "Mom!" he called out. "Yes, sweetie," she excitedly answered, but noticing his seriousness, she felt the situation become tense and she became wary of that. "After living with me for all these 5 years, you must have already known why I hated you. Right? Yes." She faced her head down with heavy shoulders and lots of pain in her heart. "I have no idea who took care of me before I could even walk," he said with a trembling voice, carrying a mix of emotions from his untold story. "But what I do know is that I grew up in the poorest area, where finding even a bit of food meant searching in the garbage, and every day was a tough battle just to survive. Of course, these were just a few of the incredibly tough challenges I faced every day," he added, his voice showing he had accepted this reality. Layla's eyes filled with tears, her heart hurting as she tried to understand the depth of his suffering. She could sense the sharp edges of his pain, each word cutting through her own emotions. His past didn't just touch her heart, it tore her heart into pieces. Chapter 2. Reconcile. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. "I kept asking myself the same haunting question every day," Daniel said. His voice trembled with the weight of loneliness and longing. "You can't imagine how much I wanted to have a family. Each family I saw reminded me of my own loneliness." He stopped, his eyes staring into the distance as if reliving his heartache. "I felt empty inside." It was as if, there was a hole in me that filled with longing and anger. It tears me apart every time, Daniel said with a shaky voice. But then, you suddenly appeared out of nowhere, his voice wavered, recounting the moment they had met. After I found out you were the one who left me, I was consumed by anger, he said with a stern voice, memories of betrayal and abandonment resurfacing. But amid all that bitterness, a glimmer of hope emerged. I realized I wasn't alone, but that realization filled me with anger. A sad smile appeared on his lips, showing the complex mix of emotions in his heart. On the other hand, Layla gripped her clothes tightly, her nails digging into her skin. She couldn't imagine what he had gone through, and she blamed herself deeply for it. Every night, she had nightmares about the choice to leave him. The sound of his cries haunted her memories, something she could never forget. And she alone knew how painful it was to go through each day, knowing her son was suffering somewhere. But what confused her the most was that she hadn't sent Daniel to the slums, and this was the most perplexing part. She loved Daniel so much that she was willing to do anything for him, but sending him to the slums was never her plan. Because of her circumstances at that time, she had no choice but to trust someone she knew with Daniel's care. Something had gone wrong, and this confused her a lot. But regardless of the reasons, the fact that she left Daniel was true, and she can't make excuses for it. All she can do now is try to figure out how Daniel ended up in the slums. But so far, she hasn't found any solid proof. It's as if all clues have vanished. Still, she won't give up until she finds the person responsible. Son, I know I did something. No, Mom, I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness. I'm here to say that I want to start a new relationship as a mother and a son with you. His words surprised Layla, who couldn't believe what was happening. For 5 years, Daniel had been distant, and hearing him call her by her title touched her deeply. I no longer want to hold on to this anger. So can you treat me as your son again? Daniel's voice, filled with vulnerability and hope, floated through the air like a gentle breeze. His heartwarming smile carried a world of emotions. Of course, sweetie. You are my son. Layla's voice trembled with emotion as she rushed to him, hugging him tightly. Tears of joy ran down her face. In their hug, the onlookers, the household staff who had silently watched these emotional moments, also cried. The scene was a beautiful moment of making up. At that moment, their past faded, and they let go of their old resentments. In this transformative moment, the mansion was filled with emotions, each tear shed a sign of their mended relationship. Now free from their past troubles, Daniel and Layla started a new chapter of the unbreakable mother-son bond. And now, the regret that Daniel couldn't erase was gone, and his heart felt lighter than ever. As he hugged his mother, a warm feeling spread in his heart and mind, making him feel at ease like never before, and because of that, he smiled widely. Hence, a week has passed since they repaired their relationship. Layla POV. It was hard to believe what happened a week ago, and I still couldn't believe what my little boy had told me that day. I never thought it was a day when my life would turn around in a good way. When I gave birth to the most wonderful child, I convinced myself to give the whole world to him. No one knows how much I loved him, but the pain I gave to him isn't so easy to be cleansed. But he forgave me, and I cried as though a heavy boulder had been lifted from my shoulders. The thought of him finally accepting me has finally allowed me to bear the responsibility of a mother. I will do anything or everything for him. After all, no one can touch him but me. Still, isn't it a bit strange for the past week he has been acting overly cautious? It might not be seen by others, but as a mother, I could notice his strange state. I have my guards to watch over him in the darkness, and overall, they reported the same answers. Daniel has been seen countless times planning or scheduling another reality called Modern Fantasia. I've heard and known of a few inventions of virtual games which is a hit, but nothing like the ones mentioned by him. Does he like virtual reality games? Should I buy one for him? Money isn't something I'm lacking in, and I never thought it would bring me happiness the moment he requested some money. I was overjoyed by it that perhaps I might have given him too much for some pocket money. But oh well, which mother wants to spoil their son? And it was cute to see his reaction when receiving him the money, and I assured myself that I should give him more. Well, no matter what happens, I'll be the one taking care of him. Even if he wants the world, then isn't it appropriate for me as a mother to give it to him? Third POV. Layla has dangerous thoughts about her son that are quite unhealthy. Without a doubt, the hole in her heart was gradually healing, however, her motherly personality was a little bit twisted due to her past. On the other hand, Daniel remained passive in his room while waiting for the mysterious being to appear. He has prepared everything he needs and planned for a better future. One of the functions of modern fantasia is how humans can convert real money to the currency of that world. Meaning to say, Daniel has gotten his first so-called cheat of money where he'll easily overcome any trials or difficulties in terms of money. I was foolish not to use this money at the beginning of that reality, but now, with such an enormous amount of money in my bank, there's no doubt it's a great start. He smirked at the thought of having a 1 billion amount of money. Now, all that's left is to wait, and this time, I'll make sure to kill every one last of you. His eyes gleamed with hatred while looking towards the sky outside of his window. In this very second, when the whole world is at peace, a strange occurrence begins to interrupt whether those who were witnessing its sight or those who were watching from their television, computer, mobile phones, or any similar electronic objects. Up in the sky, there's a great disturbance coming in the way. Oceans were behaving wildly, the earth tremored for a second, and volcanoes became active. This wasn't a sign of doomsday but a welcome to greet a great being. "Mommy, what is that in the sky?" A child pointed up to the sky with a curious gaze. What you're talking about, child?" Once the mother saw something that shouldn't happen, she froze in fear. "What in the world is that?" A random passerby shouted, which attracted the others, and they too trembled in fear. "Oh my God! Is this the end of the world?" Quickly called the police. This might be caused by a terrorist. The whole world panicked and turned into chaos as right before their eyes, a gigantic humanoid entity floated in the sky with its gaze looking down upon the humans. Its body was as tall as a skyscraper building and it had 6 wings mixed with rainbow colors. Was it an angel? No one knows, but one thing is for sure, this humanoid holds a domineering aura. "Greetings, humans of the earth, I'm Grisea, a divine being who has watched the growth of this world for the past billions of years." Its voice echoed through the whole world and even those who were deaf could hear it. Chapter 3. Entering modern fantasia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I, one of the divine beings, have decided a new era for humanity's growth, a celestial voice declared, its message echoing across the world. From now on, every human, no matter their age, can enter a new dimension, modern fantasia. In this world, you'll have guides, similar to the games you enjoy. The voice continued with a mix of mystery and danger. But heed this, mortals, once you die, death is assured unless rare artifacts intervene. The powers accrued within this realm shall echo upon Earth's shores. Yet, temper your journey, and discover the facets of strength and wonder, for, dear humanity, surprises are woven into the fabric of this odyssey. With a deep tone, the voice stopped, leaving a world in chaotic change. The declaration led to chaos, shaking the very foundations of reality, as modern fantasia merged the ordinary and the magical. It didn't take long for governments worldwide to react, declaring an international crisis. Meanwhile, Daniel's eyes sparkled with excitement. "It's here!" he exclaimed. While everyone else was panicking at a strange screen that appeared out of nowhere, he quickly told them to log into the new world. Log into modern fantasia. Yes, processing data for conversion. Data conversion complete. Congratulations, you're the first human in modern fantasia. You get bonus stats and 200% more experience for 1 week. A robotic voice echoed in his ears. This was the guide the voice mentioned. Afterwards, his body began turning into essences of light, and his surroundings distorted widely before revealing a brand new world. Congratulations, welcome to Modern Fantasia. Do you want to go through the tutorials? Nope, he refused. With his knowledge of the future, he didn't need the tutorials. While the tutorials offered some benefits, they came with restrictions that he couldn't change once he accepted them. Thus, he decided to skip them. After so long, I'm finally back here. The scenery around him was as realistic as it can be when it's filled with life. To be precise, he was located in a modern city. After all, it's called Modern Fantasia. He was feeling a lot of emotions in his heart, but most importantly, his burning desire to change the future fueled his anger again. This time, things will be different, he thought while strolling through the familiar city. As he walked, the city was bustling with life and had buildings much more advanced than Earth's. As he walked, the city was bustling with life and buildings that were much more advanced than Earth. Towers of gleaming architecture soared, a testament to technological prowess surpassing Earth's. Moreover, the citizens here wore clothes that held unimaginable technology. But what's surprising is that some of the living beings here have beastly characteristics. This is a common sight since this world's races are diverse, as creatures like dragons, phoenixes, nine-tails foxes exist. Not just that, but for some reason, this world had hidden surprises that resemble powers, objects, figures, or even fictional characters from Earth stories, Daniel realized. Daniel looked forward to the powers that he wished to acquire, and the first would be those fruits called forbidden fruit. But before I start my plan, let's check my status. Name: Daniel Bell. Age: 18. Level: 1 exp 0/100. Race: Human. Class: Non-HP 500/500 MP 100/100 STR 31 Def 25 in 34 Luke. 25 Skills: None. Buff: 200% EXP for a week. Compared to before, my starting stats are much higher. Is this thanks to the bonus? How much stats I have will depend on my body physique, but even then, it doesn't even matter. Daniel nonchalantly turned off his status before walking around the city. His destination was one building called Teleportation Cores, where with enough money, he can travel anywhere around the world without limits. The moment Daniel entered the building, he was greeted by a bubbly teenage girl. "Hi there, sir from Earth, do you wish to teleport?" she asked. "Yes, the place that I wish to teleport is called the Hard Town." This wasn't his first time exchanging talk with the teenage girl, nor was he surprised that she knew he was from Earth. It was only a year later that humans discovered that this wasn't a fake reality. It was a world where lives existed that were located in another realm. Modern Fantasia was aware of the existence of the beings of divines, and they knew beforehand that humans from Earth would arrive. How they could tell is due to the privilege given by the divine beings. Of course, with a high population, the Earth humans would be teleported randomly for their first entrance into this world. Ah, the Hard Town, is it? According to the recommendation of Battle Power, I believe you're not ready yet, but still, do you wish to proceed? Yes, that'll be 100 gold coin for teleporting, she demanded. With quick conversion, Daniel transferred his bank money to the currency of this world. $1 is equal to 1 copper coin. $100 is equal to 1 silver coin. $10,000 is equal to 1 gold coin. And $1 million is equal to 1 diamond coin. Usually, the teleportation cost will depend on the distance, and since Hard Town is located in another district, this cost can be seen as fair enough. Moreover, there were other cheaper ways such as flights or even sky taxis. But since Daniel is in a hurry, he chooses teleportation. Without further ado, he transferred the money and entered the platform hidden on one of the floors of the building. Similarly to how he appeared in this world, his body breaks down into essences of light before appearing in a worn-out poor town. Sigh, finally I arrived in this town where many legends of well-known sea hunters roamed into the sea. His first objective is to obtain the forbidden fruit hidden as an Easter egg. It was located in a common place before someone claimed it and became one of the top powerful humans. However, since Daniel will be claiming, its history will be rewritten. As he walked across the town where it's quite contrasting compared to the modern city, here was where the ragged lived. Technology seems to be behind and there was lots of beer in where the citizens enjoyed their content. After walking for more than 10 minutes, he eventually arrived at a worn-out shop that sells all sorts of weapons. "What can I do for a young man?" A middle-aged man greeted me. "Are there any storage chests that I can buy?" he asked with a nerve-wracking expression. The man frowned and glared at him. How do you know about that? Especially someone from Earth who has nothing to do in this world." The man questioned with an overwhelming aura. Chapter 4. A Treasure Chest. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. "I mean, there's a silver chest placed on top of that shelf, so I thought it was for sale." Daniel pointed his finger and shrugged his shoulder off. The middle-aged man was stunned as though he felt like an idiot for asking. Just take it. The chest has been there for who knows how long and it's about time that I clear some space on the shelf." The man casually passed the chest towards Daniel and contemplated deeply whether he was making the right choice. "Thank you, old man. Here's the money for the chest." Daniel was clueless about how much it cost, but he gave dozens of gold away so that he wouldn't complain. The old man accepted it without pondering deeply, but as he watched Daniel walk away with enthusiasm, he contemplated. "Sigh, is this the person that you waited for, Kaiser? The one who will inherit your legacy?" The man recalled a nostalgic memory he once had. "Yo Zerko, isn't it funny that we have reached this place, yet we were too early?" A great figure of a man laughed over to what seemed to be the younger version of the middle-aged man. "Zerko. Kaiser, though we have fought countless times to death, I still have yet to know about your ambitions," Lo Zerko asked while holding a mug of beer. "My ambition isn't big, but all I wanted was to bring down the fall of those divine beings and be unbound by their chains, only then would I be free." Kaiser smiled with charisma. "Kaiser, do you know what you're talking about?" "Ha ha ha, don't make a fuss about it. Even now, I am barely able to touch a single strand of their hair, but my journey has discovered a terrifying truth about our world, and the Dark Ages, the Pillars of Light, encoded a message about someone who'll turn the world upside down, and for that, I leave my most unmeasurable treasure in the hands of the one who'll make that come true. Would you hold on to this treasure and give it to the one who'll make that come true?" Kaiser passed a chest to Zerko. "Kaiser. Don't tell me. What are you feeling sad for?" "My life is almost ending soon and I'm betting everything I have on the future ones and I have no regret doing so," Kaiser said with positivity. The flashback ended, and now, Zerko, who was handling the worn-out shop, had a tear flowing out from his eye. "God damn it, it has been 20 years since his death and I have been waiting for the one you said, but I have no idea what kind of person you were looking for, Kaiser. I don't know if this is the person you're looking for, but I hope your soul is in peace," Zerko thought as he looked up to the sky wondering what the future would embark on. He had never opened the chest before since his old friend had said to pass it on to the fated, but he had no idea who was the fated one. Whether or not Daniel was fated on, he had no idea, but he hoped his friend could now finally rest in peace. On the other hand, Daniel has finally obtained his first objective. I finally obtained it. The Easter egg that will grant me power beyond imagination." Daniel couldn't believe that he obtained this chest, which was said to hold a ridiculous power that breaks the law of physics. "I can't believe it, it's really within the palms of my hands." He gazed towards the chest with a fervent gaze. His fingers were trembling as he held the chest and his heart pounded in nervousness and excitement as he couldn't wait to open up his chest. With shaking hands, he slowly unlocked the chest and immediately, he was rewarded with a treasure that was immeasurable by words. And along with the treasure came a letter. "My name's Dragon D. Kaiser and I'm what you call the ruler of the sea hunters, well used to, but none of it matters. I'm sure the person who has obtained the chests from Zerko must have known about this treasure. While the rewards are for you, it comes to a great request which has separate rewards, but before that listen to this story. The world modern Fantasia, as you know, contained countless mysteries, treasures, powers, and lands, but out of them all, the Dark Age is the most mysterious and foreign concept. No one knows about this age, even me. However, my journey throughout the world discovered a horrifying truth. The Dark Age is where the ancient beings used to live before they were extinct, since they rebelled against the divine beings. Moreover, the origin of D derived from those ancient beings, and it can be said that those who carry the name D are their descendants. But even then, the lands of the ancient beings still exist and are written on the map inside the storage chest. While you have been given the treasure from this chest, would you accept this request of a deceased soul? Do you wish to accept the unique quest of ancient lands? As Daniel read the story, he became aghast by the discovery. It was not because he was shocked by this discovery, but he never thought that the Dark Age had been mentioned early in this stage. Why is the Dark Age mentioned at the early start? His hands trembled while holding the letter. As someone who has experienced the future, the Dark Age is only mentioned in the late game, when one of the global main missions was to fight against the Ghost of the Dark Age. It was a horrible event, and Daniel even lost someone precious to him. As such, he couldn't help but tremble over the mention of the Dark Age. Shit. I need to calm myself down. The main mission is still far away, and I got some time before the event takes place, so for now, I need to focus on the main track. He recomposed himself. To completely understand the quest, Daniel requests more information. The ruler of Sea Hunter has discovered the land of the ancients. However, they were too early and he has almost reached his life expectancy. However, he has encountered the guardians of the ancient land and has made pacts with them. Hence, the first chain of this quest is to visit the land of the ancients. Difficulty: X rewards. Sigh, I never thought that my first quest would be ranked at X. Moreover, it's a chain quest. Fortunately, it doesn't have any difficulties, which I'm glad for. The difficulty of quest could be defined with F, which is the easiest, followed by E, C, D, B, A, S, SS, SSS, Ultra, and the hardest, which is X. Afterwards, he claimed the rewards that he had been looking forward to. You have claimed a treasure map of ancient lands, thousands of gold diamond coins, 3 soul extinguisher pills, 3 high-grade impurities cleanser, and 3 forbidden fruits. And again, his mind was overwhelmed with sheer happiness just by hearing about the forbidden fruits he had obtained. It shocked him to the core when hearing it's not only 1, but 3, and gods know how much one could handle such happiness at the same time. For now, there isn't much change to the scenario. But along the way, there will be major changes, especially in the relationship between Daniel and his mother. Chapter 5. Forbidden Fruits. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Although there were 3 forbidden fruits, he could only eat one of them, otherwise his soul would burst and he would die in the end. He has heard countless events where those who were greedy ate 2 forbidden fruits had died as a consequence. There weren't any solutions to it, nor were there any methods in solving this crisis except for the rise of the Zex, who appeared with 2 forbidden fruit in power, and he was from Earth. How he does it nobody knows, but one thing for sure is that he possesses 2 of the most dangerous powers, the forbidden fruit of darkness and earthquake. It gave him too much power, where in the end, he became drunk, and it required top players, a term in the future to describe humans from Earth, to defeat and kill him. Eventually, his powers were transferred to nearby fruits and were in the hands of the good. But this just proves that while there has yet to be a way for it, it's not impossible to obtain 2 forbidden fruits at the same time. However, Daniel recalled that there was a pill in the reward, and he quickly looked over it only to be horrified by the discovery. Soul Extinguisher Pill. Created by one of the greatest alchemists. The effect of this pill is to increase the user's soul strength to handle more than 1 forbidden fruit. A forbidden fruit puts stress and strain on the user's body, thus by eating this pill, it'll allow the user to hold more than 1 forbidden fruit. While eating 2 pills is enough, 3 pills are recommended for the soul to be at ease. Never would he imagine that his dream of eating 3 forbidden fruits would come through, and without thinking too much, he ate away those pills before eating the fruits. Seconds later, another announcement was made. You have obtained forbidden fruit. Immortal Phoenix, do you wish to eat it? You have obtained forbidden fruit. Light Incarnate, do you wish to eat it? You have obtained forbidden fruit. Lightning Wrath, do you wish to eat it? You have eaten forbidden fruits. Immortal Phoenix, and have gained the following abilities. Immortal Phoenix Transformation, S, Phoenix Body, S, and Phoenix Flames, S. You have eaten forbidden fruit. Light Incarnate, and have gained the following abilities. Light Manipulation, S, Light Body, S, and Light Creation, S. You have eaten forbidden fruit. Lightning Wrath, and have gained the following abilities. Lightning Manipulation, S, Lightning Body, S, and Lightning Creation, S. The sound of the prompts was like the sound of heaven ringing inside his ears. They were the most pleasant sounds he had ever heard, and right now, it would be a blessing if he could roll down on the floor if not for new prompts appearing. You have obtained the weakness against salt and holy powers. Trouble could be seen in his expression, but later on, he had hopes for the remaining pills, believing that they would cease his weakness. High-grade soul impurities cleanser. Created and invented by one of the greatest alchemists. The effect of this pill is to clean or remove any impurities hidden within your soul due to the infusion between the souls from forbidden fruits and your body. The fruits contain a long-lost forgotten soul, thus, by eating it, it'll fuse along with your soul. However, the price of it is its weakness. Needless to say, he consumed the pills which removed his weakness. However, upon eating the pills, he suddenly felt dizzy. Why am I losing my consciousness? He couldn't resist sudden dizziness and fell asleep. Wake up, O human of earth. However, a deep slumbering voice echoed, and as he opened his eyes, he discovered that he was in a different place. Where is this, and who are you? Daniel pretended to become conscious and wary of the situation. But honestly, he knew who they were. After all, he had eaten a forbidden fruit before. But he never expected to meet them when it should only happen after he had awakened the fruit. Nevertheless, all around him were nothing but thrones of emptiness. There were hundreds of thrones, yet only 3 were seated. Who are we? We are nothing but a long-forgotten civilization from far away, what you call modern Fantasia. We're just nothing but a speck of dust sealed within fruits after rebelling against the divine beings, the one who sat on one of the thrones said. Its height was as huge as an 8-floor building, and its body was covered by lightning. Daniel pretended to be nervous, and it seemed like this being fell for it. Relax, O human from Earth. We're here not to hurt you, and we can't even hurt you, spoke another being who was covered by robes of light. I never thought that a human would inherit 3 of our powers one day. Is this perhaps a sign of change? The being whose body was covered with bluish flame spoke. Never mind that. O human, do you wish to inherit our powers? One of them asked. Of course I want to, he answered honestly. After all, didn't he eat those fruits because he wanted these powers? What a foolish question to ask. Then you must have realized that if you inherit our powers, our souls would be fused with yours, and do you know what that means? One of them asked. What is it? Daniel asked back. First, I have to explain that the occurrence of us appearing right before you is due to the pills that you ate, which means, if you agree to these changes, then, you'll acquire our true powers, it explained. True powers. Yes. Our powers don't simply allow you to create something out of nothing, but affect reality as well. The concept might be unfamiliar, but you'll understand once you'll taste our power. Nevertheless, the changes that you'll face will be your race and our sign of marks. If our souls are fused, of course, you'll be in control, but what we prided the most are our existence and our mark. Thus, by leaving our mark on your body, it'd mean that we exist, and this mark would be in the form of tattoos. Do you still wish to proceed? Although at some point he would awaken the powers, he never thought it would be this early. Yes, but what do you all get in exchange? He knew that some forbidden fruits would acquire some sort of exchange, which is why he was curious about what he needed to exchange. We just don't want to be forgotten. We have rebelled and lost. And now, all of us are sealed within the fruits, and for our race who prided us on our marks of existence, there's nothing better than to leave a mark that would prove that we once existed. Although their expressions couldn't be seen, Daniel noticed that they wanted freedom. All right then. Should we proceed then? All right then. From now on, we, the beings of Demonia, would be one with Daniel Bell, the one who will be a mark as proof of our existence. In an instant, the three of them quickly fused with Daniel, and as they fused, Daniel felt great pain. Oh! He screamed with his veins popping as tattoos began appearing in 3 areas of his body. Even if he was prepared for the pain, he wouldn't get used to it. There was a small mark of lightning under his left eye, a blue phoenix on his back, and also, a small sparkling light on his left cheek. It seemed like hours had passed by, but only a second had happened since the infusion, and once Daniel regained his consciousness, he was awakened from his consciousness. I guess being back from the future has its perks, he thought. Never mind that, let's see what kind of gains I have now. Name: Daniel Bell. Age: 18. Level: 1 EXP. 0 out of 100. Race: Demonia. Hybrid class: None. HP: 5000 MP, 1000 STR, 310 Def, 250 and 340 Luke. 250 skills: Immortal Phoenix Transformation, S, Phoenix Flames, S, Light Manipulation, S, and Light Creation, S, Strengthening, S, True Light, S, True Immortal Phoenix, S, True Lightning, S, Passive. Phoenix Body, S, Light Body, S, Lightning Body, S, Buff. 200% EXP for a week. Bank: $999 million. Diamonds: 9,000 diamonds. Items: Map of Ancient Lands. One of the benefits of eating a forbidden fruit is that it doesn't consume any MP despite its sheer manipulation. And now, with the healing of a phoenix and manipulations of light and lightning, it can be said that Daniel is invincible for starters. And now, with no weakness, he can freely utilize his abilities without any limitations. My gain in this town is much more than what I have imagined. And now that I have completed one of my objectives, it's time I should level up in the nearby dungeon this town has. Daniel looked over his stats before he entered a dungeon nearby just to make sure about the changes. He has already been aware of the changes, especially his race, since he knows about it in the future. The only shock he had was the true power, and it was time for him to explore his powers. Eventually, he arrived at a dungeon. It's famous for leveling up or obtaining rare treasures. Dungeons are known to be a form of accumulation of mana over some time, which is birthed into unfathomable monsters of an endless abyss. The deeper you go, the more powerful monsters will be, and no one has ever reached the end. But some rumors said deep in the dungeon contained a treasure or wealth beyond man's dream. However, here's the catch. Each dungeon reward at the very bottom can only be claimed once. Though the dungeon will remain the same, the rewards at the very bottom can't be claimed again. Hence, this is a lifetime opportunity for Daniel. Of course, many would question, wouldn't the natives of this world claim the rewards at the bottom? This without a doubt is true, except that the divine beings forbid the natives to enter the dungeon. It's a strange reason, but one must know that the dungeons appeared only when humans from Earth began appearing. And it's not uncommon to find dungeons everywhere. Chapter 6. Power of Lightning. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At the entrance of the dungeon, a conspicuous metallic gate stood, its surface cool to the touch. With a gentle press, a holographic screen materialized before Daniel, illuminating his sights. Do you wish to enter the dungeon of Paimon? He agreed to it, and to his response, the gate of the dungeon unlocked as though welcoming him. Stepping inside, a gloomy expanse unfolded before him, the floor beneath his feet damp and slick from the perpetual drip of water cascading through the fissures in the dungeon's stone walls. Devoid of sound or any trace of vitality, the eerie hush enveloped him, casting an unsettling shroud of silence and solitude. If this was his first time, perhaps he would be conscious and wary of the dungeon, but now, there's only thought of conquering this dungeon. Typically, before venturing inside a dungeon, players would often prepare rations or even recovery potions. This was to ensure that they would have enough food or even measure in case any unforeseen circumstances happened. After all, there's no telling what could happen inside a dungeon. Well, despite knowing this common rule that players in the future implemented, Daniel didn't care to abide by it. After all, his current skills were enough to survive a dungeon like this. As he walked along the silent path of the dungeon, he finally encountered some monsters of what was known to be slime. The kind of monsters that a player could face each time would be random, but for some, encountering a slime would be considered as lucky since they were one of the weakest monster races. Nevertheless, they were not to be underestimated, and to add on, Daniel was up against 30 of them. Somehow, when the slimes appeared, an unknown source of light brightened up the surroundings, allowing Daniel to regain his sight. Slimes had that, if I remember correctly, in the first stage, the monsters would set at level 1 and they give off 10 EXP each, but to top it off with the EXP buff, I can obtain twice the amount. With such eagerness, Daniel engaged in a battle with the slimes. The appearance of slime is as it sounds, and they weren't cute or anything unlike what may be depicted in some stories. Though slimes may be weaklings, their terrifying traits allowed them to evolve in any environment, making them a tough foe to deal with if left alone. Eventually, Daniel began cracking his fingers and doing some warm-ups. Although I've gone back to the past, I don't think my current body can keep up with my mind. Let's just spam my skills. He wanted to see how much he could do with his skills, and he wanted to test its effectiveness out. But as he approached the slimes, they jumped and stuck to walls before shooting out peas of acidic shot. It might be dangerous if any of them were to hit it. After all, their acidic shots eat away 1% of HP per second, and if there's not a potion or remedy for it, it'll be the end of him. However, after eating 3 forbidden fruits that grant him Phoenix, Light, and Lightning Body, what could a mere acidic shot do? Phoenix Body. Physical or magical attacks would pass through the body which has been fused with the Phoenix, whether intentionally or not in purpose. Light Body. Physical or magical attacks would pass through the body which has been made from light, whether intentionally or not. Lightning Body. Physical or magical attacks would pass through the body which has been made from lightning, whether intentionally or not. To the disappointment of the slimes, the shots passed through his body, whereupon contact created essences of light, lightning, and blue flames upon passing it. I guess you thought that it'll work right, but unfortunately for you, I have eaten 3 forbidden fruits. A sly grin played upon his lips as his palms crackled with power, summoning forth 3 arcing lightning spears that sliced through the air, their lethal trajectory striking 3 slimes dead center. Yet, the spectacle did not end there. Upon contact, the electrifying force of the spears rippled outwards in a spectacular display of luminous fury. Waves of incandescent lightning cascaded through the air, a mesmerizing dance of sheer energy, their electrifying embrace consuming every last slime in a symphony of crackling demise. In an instant, the dungeon fell silent, accompanied by the last echo of the dissipating thunderous spears. It wasn't a difficult battle, considering that none of the physical or magical attacks worked toward his body. Hence, he had an easy time handling them, to which in the end, all slimes were killed. Although the monster's body doesn't disappear upon dying, because of his lightning spears, all of the slimes are evaporated. You have killed 30 slimes and have obtained a total of 900 EXP, plus 200%. You have obtained 30 F-rank monster cores and they have been stored inside your inventory. You have leveled up to level 3 and have obtained 30 allocated points. Congratulations, you're the first one to kill a monster, hence you have obtained a special bonus stat and 200% EXP buff for a week. Daniel couldn't help but smile. This kind of achievement couldn't be possibly obtained, and it was only due to his sheer luck of traveling back to the past that he could attain this feat. I can do this. He grasps his hands with confidence and the plausible future he wishes to obtain. Though monsters' cores have their uses, I don't have any uses for now. So let's just put it inside for now. Seeing the rewards put a smile on his face. You have completed the first stage of the dungeon. Do you wish to obtain your rewards, or do you wish to continue moving on? Without a doubt, he chose to continue, and out of the blue, the dungeon began shaking violently before the stairs at the end appeared, and it led him to the upper stage. For monsters, there are two ways to put them into categories, and it's either levels or ranks. Other than that, there were existences such as mutated, unique, boss, or even apocalyptic monsters. When it comes to ranks, the lowest would be F, where the levels are from 1 to 100. And every 100 levels would be determined by one rank higher, which are E, C, B, A, S, SS, SSS, Ultra, and the most powerful, which is the X rank. Eventually, the next monsters he faced were the same slimes, except that their levels and numbers had increased. In total, there were 50 slimes at the level of 5, and in that logic, they were 5 times stronger and dangerous. Even though there was a horde of 50 level 0.5 slimes, none of them posed a threat to him. With electrifying precision, lightning spears erupted from his fingertips. Each strike contains a lethal ballet of energy. Once the spears had been formed, he launched them towards the slimes, where the once imposing slimes fizzled into oblivion, their threat extinguished with electrifying finesse. Though he may have the powers of light, lightning, an immortal phoenix, to which we have yet to find out its uses along the phoenix transformation, it's not like he was accustomed to it. Hence, he took this chance to familiarize himself with those forbidden powers. You have killed a total of 50 slimes and have obtained 12,500 EXP, plus 400%. Congratulations, you have leveled from 4 to 16 and have obtained 120 allocated points. You have obtained 50 F-rank monster cores, and they have been stored inside your inventory. With this kind of pace, he moved on to the next 8 stages without any difficulties. The only difference it had in each stage was the number of slimes and the increment of their levels. Advancing to the 3rd stage, he confronted a relentless horde of 100 slimes in the 10th level. Facing against the horde, he conjured a tempest of crackling lightning storms that rent the air. Arcs of electric fury cascaded upon the encroaching horde, each striking an explosive obliteration. Amidst the chaos, the slimes met their end, dissolving into smoky tendrils as the atmosphere itself ignited with his electrifying mastery. Stepping into the 4th stage, Daniel faced an onslaught of 200 level 0.20 slimes. In an electrifying spectacle, he wove intricate patterns with his outstretched hands, summoning a sprawling web of thunder that crackled with untamed energy. As the web converged, an explosive symphony of lightning engulfed the battlefield. In an instant, the slimes disintegrated, their forms succumbing to the overwhelming power of his conjured storm. 5th stage, he encountered an evolved version of slimes called demonic slimes in level 40, and compared to before, the number of demonic slimes numbers was lesser as there were only 100 of them, but their EXP obtained couldn't be compared. Nevertheless, with a mere flick of his finger, arrows of lightning materialized, streaking through the air in electrifying volleys. Each arrow found its mark, igniting a dazzling cascade of sparks upon impact. The dungeon danced with luminous fervor as the slimes, powerless against his lightning-infused onslaught, disintegrated one after another. Amidst the crackling storm, his mastery over lightning increased and he was getting flexible at the use of it. In the 6th stage, 150 demonic slimes in level 50 appeared. On the 7th stage, another evolved version of slimes happened called General Slimes. Their powers were undoubtedly stronger with more dangerous skills that could kill any human within a second. However, due to Daniel's forbidden fruit of lightning and stats, none of their attacks landed on him. At the 8th stage, 150 General Slimes in level 70 appeared. Throughout the stages, Daniel never felt any threat. However, at the 9th stage, the slimes were able to cause slight damage to Daniel. They were using soul attacks which were fatal to forbidden fruit users. Moreover, the slimes evolved once again to heavenly slimes capable of using soul attacks. Perhaps their traits in evolving under any circumstances weren't a lie after all. But despite that, there wasn't any nervousness since the damage they caused was nothing but in 2 digits, whereas Daniel has more than 5,000 HP. In the end, even the heavenly slimes met their end. Daniel channeled lightning through his veins, infusing his body with the power of lightning. In a blur of motion, he surged forward with lightning speed, obliterating each slime in a symphony of lightning storms. Their once formidable forms disintegrated into tendrils of smoke as his lightning-infused onslaught left no room for mercy. Eventually, after clearing all 9 stages, he decided to place his allocated points that hadn't been touched since the first level. Up. Chapter 7. One Shot. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The aftermath of slaughtering countless slimes from stage 1 to 9 had earned him quite a lot of points. At the same time, he was smiling as Daniel was pleased with his progress. Nevertheless, gazing at his status, he contemplated in deep thought, wanting to know which factor should he place his points on. Normally, players would frequently allocate their points wisely as it'll affect how they'll turn out in the future, especially when class exists. What is a class? Well, class is like a job or profession that players are good at. For example, if they choose swordsman, then, it's important to focus on it on STR, if they choose mage, the stat they will concentrate on will be int. There are special or unique classes like Dragon Slayer, Warlock, Berserk, Heavenly Archer, Sorcerer, and Necromancy, but they can only be obtained through special means. Moreover, there are hidden stats that can only be obtained by either classes or bloodlines. In the world of modern Fantasia, there were just too many special classes for Daniel to remember. Although he came from the future, it's not like he could remember every unique class. The most he could remember were those overpowered classes, and he's planning to get his hands on them. Moreover, the reason why his class remained empty is that he had skipped the tutorial, otherwise, he'd miss out on a great opportunity in obtaining more than one special class. After all, the higher his level, the more classes he could unlock. Upon mastering more than one class, it can be fused to form an even stronger class. The rank of class can be categorized into common, rare, epic, legendary, and unique. Having said that, it's not easy mastering a class, even those who have played for 10 years still couldn't master a complete 100%. Instead of quantity, many focused on quality since it's possible to evolve a common class to a unique rate. But that requires resources and training. Name: Daniel Bell. Age: 18. Level: 155 EXP 65, 252/155,000 Race: Demonia. First Class: None. Second Class: None. HP: 37,750 MP, 33,750 STR, 6550 Def, 6550 Int, 6550 Luke. 6550 SP. 3. In an instant, a surge of energy ignited within him, a symphony of strength that reverberated through every sinew and vein. The sensation was unlike anything he'd ever experienced, an intoxicating fusion of power and vitality that flooded his senses. With a quiet gasp, he marveled at the sensation, his thoughts racing as the newfound potency coursed through his essence. This energy, this strength, it's almost addictive, he mused, a wry smile curling his lips. The euphoria was undeniable, an elixir that danced through his very existence, emboldening him with a sense of invincibility. As each heartbeat synchronized with the pulsating surge, he relished in the heightened awareness and renewed vitality that infused his every move. It felt like he could carry a truck like nothing or crush rocks into dust. If sizes could describe the difference then before allocating points, Daniel is like a rock. However, after allocating points, he's now a meteor that could crush anything in its way. Daniel had never experienced such a sensation before. Perhaps, it's unheard of for someone to level up from 1 to 155 within such a short period. Nevertheless, this surreal surge of strength gave him even more confidence in his plans. After taking his time and moment to enjoy his newfound strength, Daniel entered the 10th stage, or should it be named the last stage of the dungeon where it's thought to be unreachable for beginners. I guess it's the same as before with more slimes and the most powerful slime I ever encountered today. The slime boss, Emperor Slime, the number of heavenly slime lingering can be counted in tens while the most powerful slime with the size of a boulder is only one. An Emperor Slime shouldn't be underestimated for beginners. Its power and skills are a whole new concept as it can replicate any skills upon touching. For most parties, the Emperor Slime is an irritating bunch to handle as it can counter and has almost instant recovery which took hours to kill. But for Daniel, it's not a problem. This time, Daniel wanted to utilize the power of light. Hence, as he approached the slimes, he gathered essences of light on his palms. In the meantime, the slimes were weary of the mortal in front of them. And the Emperor Slime made a command to stand back as it sensed incredible energy forming within his hand. The slimes attempted to send projectile attacks but to their disappointment, their attacks passed through a body cloak of flames and light. The higher the evolution and level of a monster, the more intelligent they are. Hence, they knew the human before them wasn't normal. Seconds later, he opened up his eyes and discovered that essences of light were dancing around his palms. With a mischievous grin tugging at the corners of his lips, Daniel focused intently on channeling the very essence of light into a volatile amalgamation of incandescent energy. It swirled and pulsed in his grasp, a dazzling display of raw power harnessed through sheer will. This should do the trick, he muttered, a sense of confidence tinged with anticipation filling his being. He was consumed by a burning curiosity, a thirst to experiment with the extent of his newfound abilities. Could he wondered, unleash a cataclysmic wave of energy that would obliterate the entire horde in a single, resplendent cascade? The notion itself was exhilarating, an uncharted realm of potential waiting to be explored. Guiding the radiant energy with finesse, he molded it into a compact orb, no larger than a golf ball. Yet within that diminutive form lay an unfathomable force, a symphony of brilliance poised to unfurl. As he released the orb, it hovered with eerie grace, floating toward the unsuspecting slimes clustered nearby. In the blink of an eye, the orb erupted into a radiant inferno. A searing flash of light burst forth, a brilliant detonation that enveloped the area in an iridescent blaze. The slimes, caught unawares, stood no chance against the cataclysmic surge. They vanished within the blinding maelstrom, a cascade of illumination that erased them from existence. As the luminous tempest gradually subsided, a scene of utter devastation lay before Daniel. The once mighty horde had been reduced to naught but fading echoes, swallowed by the brilliance of his unleashed power. Amidst the dissipating radiance, Daniel stood unscathed, an epitome of unwavering resolve amidst the chaos. A triumphant smile curved his lips as the adrenaline coursed through his veins. It worked, he breathed, his voice carrying a note of awe and joy. The dungeon's air hung heavy with the aftermath, a stark reminder of the monumental feat he had achieved. Amid the silence, Daniel's heart pounded with the sweet taste of triumph, an electrifying testament to his newfound prowess that had illuminated the very depths of the dungeon. Chapter 8. A Jin. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You have killed 1 Emperor Slime and have obtained 1 million EXP. You have killed 150 Heavenly Slime and have obtained 810,000 EXP. Congratulations, you have leveled up to level 166 and have obtained 1100 allocated stats points. Congratulations, you have cleared the last stage of the dungeon. Would you like to claim your last rewards? With such rewards from annihilating the horde of slimes from the last stage, his level had increased, but this wasn't the main outcome he looked forward to. It was at the end that he was pretty much invested. Is this it? The final rewards contained in the last stage of the dungeon. He still finds it hard to believe that the reward lurking in the deep part of the dungeon would be given to him. After all, it was also one of the most absurd powers to have. With enthusiasm, he claimed his rewards when a key randomly appeared in the middle of the air. Knowing its uses, he grasped it, and a golden door manifested at the end of the dungeon. He walked forward, and as he unlocked it, the door opened with creak noise, revealing mountains of gold coins and other treasures worth the value of a gold coin. However, the one that attracted his eye the most was a floating flabellum with white feathers. Is that the one? The one where everyone called a weapon vessel to summon the jinn to form a contract with? Daniel thought as he moved closer to the floating object. A jinn is a fragment of soul combined with mana, infused inside a flabellum as a vessel. By forming a contract with a jinn, it allowed the users to withdraw the power of jinn known as jinn equip or jinn weapon equip. As he grabbed it, a feminine voice echoed throughout the cave. Has a warrior finally arrived and claimed the rewards of this dungeon? I, Paimon, created. It voiced out. Smokes poured out from the object, forming into a massive woman with pale blue skin, pointy ears, beautiful long silky hair, and a third eye on its forehead. She has multiple piercings on her ears and some arrays of jewelry around her arms. Fortunately, her chest was covered up by a rounded white robe that goes all the way down to her pelvis in a V shape. Once its figure manifested, it gazed towards Daniel with a surprised expression. Oh! Despite only some time having passed, it seems like you have achieved quite the strength, haven't you, human? Paimon lays her body on the ground with her chin playfully resting on her palms while staring at the human with an interested gaze. This is quite interesting. It has been quite some time since I have found an interesting master, she smiled seductively. Well, since you have cleared the dungeon, it's time I abide by the rules. For clearing the dungeon, do you wish to form a contract with me, human? She questioned with a smile. Yes, he answered without any hesitation. Oh. So fast. But I like that, she chuckled. To form a contract with jinn, you'll need to drop blood toward the object and let the rest do its job. Daniel followed her words and dropped a droplet of blood on the object, and immediately, the flabellum formed a star on its handle, signifying the succession of the binding between a jinn and a human. Congratulations, you're the first to complete a dungeon. You have received a mystery box. You have formed a soul-binding contract with the jinn, Paimon, hence, you have obtained jinn equip, S, jinn weapon equip, A. Immediately, the jinn returned to its vessel, which was the flabellum, and somehow, the voice of the jinn can be heard in Daniel's mind. Now that I see it, aren't you a bit too powerful for someone who doesn't belong to this world? To add on, you seem eerily calm about us, the jinns. Do you perhaps know something about us? Paimon curiously asked. Her third eye and powers allowed her to see through everything, whether its status or any mimicry. Her third eye gives her the privilege of seeing through an existence, to be precise, a person's soul. She could pierce through Daniel's soul, and her discovery terrified her. Deep inside his soul contained 3 souls that belonged to the Demonia, an existence that she's familiar with, that thought to be extinct and long existed before she was brought into this world. Paimon or jinns is an existence that has existed for countless years. The knowledge and wisdom they have accumulated are priceless, which is why those who have obtained jinn's powers gained a priceless treasure. But in the first place, what is a jinn? And why does someone like Paimon remain inside a vessel? Daniel knew the answers to it all, which is why he didn't panic despite Paimon using her abilities on him. Knowing that jinns can transmit their thoughts through their master, Daniel remained calm by this. He remained silent, not knowing whether he should tell the truth or not. By telling her the truth, he could gain her trust, and furthermore, with them being on contract, that would mean that none of them could betray each other. Aren't you guys one of the beings that sided with the sovereigns in rebelling against the divinity beings? He revealed. Ha ha ha. So you knew it after all, mortal. That's interesting. How did you even know about it? It's impossible for you who belonged from another planet to know about it. Paimon couldn't believe her ears, and what was even more unbelievable was how could the mortal knew about it. It was an event that happened millions of years ago, and now, their existence was just a fairy tale. How did I know? I guess you will find out in the future. Daniel didn't reveal the reason because soon, the truth will be revealed. You're an interesting human and I guess I have contracted with a fascinating human. Paimon was delighted that this time, her contracted human would be intriguing. I'll take that as a compliment, he smiled. Alright then, human. You've got what you wanted, and although I would love to accompany you more than anything, I need to rest inside your body. After all, it's been who knows how long I've been contracted and my energy has run out to maintain my form. Well, if you have any questions, you can call me, though I doubt I would answer. It was Paimon's last thoughts before she disappeared inside Daniel's body, and he couldn't help but chuckle. Chapter 9. World's Reaction. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 9. World's Reaction. Afterwards, he looked around the treasures, his heart thumped with happiness and satisfaction. One by one he began storing all these gold coins, diamond coins, storage chests, scrolls, and items, and to his surprise, there were hundreds of skill books. But most of them were grade C. Thus, he just kept them inside his inventory. Even though it was grade C, it still provided him with a sense of accomplishment, as this was a feat he couldn't achieve before. Meanwhile, as Daniel continued his next objectives, a storm of turmoil roiled across the world, a tempest born of uncertainty and fear. The enigmatic arrival of the divine being ignited a conflagration of chaos, engulfing nations in an inferno of apprehension. An eerie hush settled over the populace, their whispers laden with unease and trepidation. The appearance of this mysterious entity birthed a nation-spanning crisis, a maelstrom of existential dread that defied comprehension. Amidst the cacophony of theories and conjectures, fervent voices emerged, each proclaiming a truth they held as irrefutable. In one corner, fervent believers hailed the being as a harbinger of salvation, a prophetic envoy sent by higher powers. Others, veering to the opposite extreme, fervently declared it a devil in disguise, an omen of doom lurking within an otherworldly veneer. The very fabric of reality seemed to shiver and quake, the foundations of established norms and beliefs fractured by the presence of an entity beyond human understanding. As uncertainty reigned, humanity grappled with questions that eluded easy answers, their world forever altered by the arrival of the enigmatic divine being. It only has been 3 hours since Daniel's adventure, but the aftermath has had an impact on the world. Newspaper reports, TV news, and other forums or articles exploded in all sorts of reactions. Was that God? No, it must be the devil. If that's true, then why would it have an angelic appearance? Fools like you are why you're still single. Who in the world would easily be fooled by appearance? Even an angel can be disguised as a devil. You know, there's a saying of how it's impossible to be perfect like an angel, but it's easier to be a devil. What the? Why are we going off topic? There were countless forums on the internet raging wildly as others placed their thoughts and opinions which drifted off to a completely different topic. But others were much keener on the words said by the celestial being. A new reality called modern fantasia. Isn't this just similar to virtual reality, which is becoming a hit nowadays? You all really believe that? How can you trust from I don't know something that easily? Chill, man, it's not like this is the end of the world. This is the end of the world. The gods have been enraged by humans, and thus have found their way to our demise. Really, bro? Are the gods ending our lives by stimulating a virtual reality? That's funny. It's a million times better to die in a game than to suffer the consequences of doomsday. Yup, I agree. Me too, me three, me four, me. But aren't there any chances of it being a terrorist attack? How dumber can we be? Are you suggesting that? Please tell me you're being sarcastic. As much as I want to believe anything other than an existence that we have yet to understand, I completely agree with you. Tell me you're being sarcastic while we're commenting here on this forum. The expertise in media has been invited immediately in debunking theories and coming up with assumptions. Yeah man, I have watched some of that and I agree it couldn't be a terrorist attack. First of all, what kind of technology allows a hologram to be as huge as a skyscraper building? To add on, it's even harder to create a gigantic and realistic holograph. Our current technology isn't sufficient to operate that kind of spec. It'll cost millions if not billions. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Moreover, hacking all over communications lines all over the world is an insane feat, and for your information, there are reports of nearby individuals that commented its voice reaching lands away from its spot, but that's what isn't scarier the most. Did you know? Its appearance causes natural disasters all around the world for a short moment. Don't believe it? Click this link to watch those clips. WW. Is this a coincidence? No, it even convinced others who were skeptical about that, and now, the whole media is in turmoil. Still, is it true that we can enter a new reality and be able to use powers from there to this world? Isn't that like a dream come true? Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like controlling powers. While that sounds good, we have yet to find out the way to enter that whole new reality. But isn't this a bit dangerous? If we can utilize powers, wouldn't order and balance be broken? If you think in that way, then it's true. If we have yet to consider what kind of power levels it can cause, then it's safe to assume that the powers obtained can be dangerous if guns or weapons wouldn't work against it. This scares me a lot, like really a lot. I can't imagine what would happen if criminals or terrorists were able to gain supernatural powers. Stop, just thinking about it makes me think that our worst enemies are ourselves. But doesn't this excite you? Isn't this like those novels where you can gain overpowered abilities and be surrounded by a harem? Oh God, here we go again. Sigh, another bunch who can only think of his dick and V'd. Well, it's time to call those bonkers. No horny on this section, please. Those wannabe heroes are already blowing up on the internet claiming that they were the chosen one. Oh, you saw it, dude. Yup, I couldn't hold my laughter over their confidence. But isn't that good if we can be blessed with a harem? Hey man, I get that you're excited about all this stuff, but we don't even know what kind of world we're talking about. Heck, we don't even know whether it's true or not. I suggest you not let your hopes up. Ha 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 ha. Another fool with wishful thinking. While the rumor of modern fantasia raises the dream of countless men and women, no one knows whether it's a fortunate outcome. Whether it'll be a blessing or disastrous, it'll be up to them to find out in the future. And by then, many wouldn't claim the same words. Underscore 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 in an unknown place, time, and reality with countless stars and galaxies surrounded, an unknown being could be seen sleeping. Its body stretches as long as the distance between galaxies. As it notices a certain event happening, it opens its eyes. So.it has begun once again, apocalyptical. Its voice echoed and destroyed thousands of galaxies before returning to its slumber as it once again closed its eyes. Chapter 10. Visiting the Tower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Amid Daniel's progress, a storm raged in Layla's heart. Panic clutched at her, fingers of dread tightening with every passing second. Her world spun out of control, consumed by a maelstrom of fear and anguish. Her son's disappearance was a terrible nightmare for her. As she desperately searched for him, Daniel was enjoying his time on modern Fantasia. In a room where the maids and butlers were standing nervously, there were sounds of footsteps echoing which made them sweat. Their hearts pounded in nervousness and fear as they were frightened by their boss. They knew how much her son meant to her, and his disappearance caused her to lose her mind. Sound of footsteps. Finally, her figure could be seen, and it's not a lie to claim she's one of the most beautiful women ever to live. Many wouldn't believe that she had given birth due to how breathtaking her looks were. Layla Bell has silvery white hair that shimmered like stars, with piercing violet eyes and an irresistibly curvaceous form. She embodied a seductive allure, drawing admirers and unsatisfied husbands like moths to a flame with their carnal desires. Yet, despite her undeniable beauty, there was a chill that lingered in her aura. Layla Bell had an empty and cold look on her face that made anyone who tried to find comfort in her feel uneasy. As she sat at her round table where meetings were held, she spoke a word that sent shivers down their spines. "Where's my son? Aren't you all supposed to watch over him?" she questioned with darkened eyes that could penetrate a soul. Some of the bodyguards and maids stepped outside and kneeled with their heads on the ground. "It's our fault, boss." All of them simultaneously claimed at the same time. "Weren't you supposed to watch over him?" she asked, which made them sweat even more. They knew it wasn't their mistake as Daniel had disappeared into nowhere, but they blamed themselves for it. After all, their loyalty was engraved in their soul. There was no response to it, and Layla became colder with an aura that suffocated them. "How did this happen? My son has finally accepted me and I thought I could finally be a mother. But no, without any warning, whatever divine being appeared, and coincidentally, my son disappeared into the fabrication of light." Layla was aware of how it happened since his room was filled with cameras. But what she doesn't understand is how he disappeared. There were no answers to it, hence, she needed someone to vent her frustrations and someone who needed to be blamed. The servants can only endure her anger and keep their silence. In the world of modern fantasia, countless secrets, wealth, histories, and dark are spread all over this world to the point that it'll take a whole lifetime to discover and voyage across the ends. The world is separated into 4 known continents and it is ruled by the king of humans, the first hero, Jason Hugh. Queen of elves, Tilly Titania, who was also known as Mother of Nature. Demon Empress, Lily Arthur, held the title of Devil of Annihilation. Finally, the king of demi-human Arlen Kane was crowned as the ultimate creature. While these were the 4 main known continents, there were dangerous lands of continents such as the Dark Continent where the King of Ant lives. Or the Hidden Dragon Realm where heavenly dragons, emperor dragons, and dragon kings live. There were too many continents to count, and it's up to Daniel where his next objectives live. In the meantime, the culprit himself was enjoying food that he bought nearby a city after returning from Hard Town. "Now that I have achieved some of my objectives, it's time I think about obtaining a special class," he thought while recalling which ones best suited him. If I remember correctly, wasn't there a class of necromancy hidden inside that tower? He recalled a special player who was one of the most powerful ever to live, and that's due to the inheritance of a unique class called Dark Sovereign. He remembered being awed by the countless thousands of armies marching over as their feet overwhelmed countless mountains. In his current stats, it might be seen as powerful or broken, but only Daniel knows how weak he is compared to the crisis in the future. Achieving a level 100 isn't that hard as long as one has a good party and balance, and it doesn't require a forbidden fruit to be insanely powerful. There were records of players being defeated by the norms due to the mastery of soul attacks such as will refinement. Will refinement is one of the most practiced techniques as it doesn't require talent unless one is aimed for conqueror of wills. Even so, to reduce some of his stress, it's better to aim for that class since Dark Sovereign is a unique class. As soon as he made up his mind, Daniel quickly paid for the food, exited the restaurant, and made his way towards the tower. Just like dungeons, tower is a form of accumulated mana over time. But only 4 towers existed. Moreover, the only difference is that the tower stage can be selected from stage 1 to 999 immediately without any problems. Nevertheless, the difficulty of the dungeon is unlike what the norm has experienced. Since the tower can participate from both Earth and modern fantasia, some completely gave up on completing the last stage as its prowess is monstrous. Although every other stage was completed, the last stage is an impossible task to complete, and even Daniel wouldn't wish to enter it yet. All he wants is to obtain the hidden class located in the tower. The location of the tower is located at the center of the continent, and by paying gold coins to teleport, Daniel arrived in an instant. It's been a long time since I set foot in this place, and I get why the tower was a famous site for players to gather. The sight of its view and hunters in this world is quite magnificent to look at. Reminiscing his time here, he was amazed by the view of the tower that pierced through the clouds. Although he had come to the tower hundreds of times, he had missed this place when times were simpler or when the situation was much calmer. Around the tower were countless hunters, a term to describe the natives of this world that hunts monsters, gathered to receive rewards. "Hi and welcome to the tail shop, what can I do for you, sir?" Before entering the tower, Daniel entered one of the armory shops nearby to prepare for his needs. "I'm here to purchase this item." He gave the female receptionist an item which she accepted and quickly grabbed the item he wanted. "Here you go, sir. 1 scroll distortion of illusion. That'll be a total of 1 gold coin," she cheerfully smiled. "Here you go and just keep the change." He gave her 1 diamond coin. But before she could call out, Daniel had walked away, leaving a dumbfounded girl. Seriously, 1 diamond coin. Just who is he to possess such tremendous wealth? The girl wondered as she engraved his face onto her mind, believing that one day she'd meet him again.